So every day in the morning, I have my coffee and I check my emails for potential sponsors, only to find out that most emails I get come from Chinese marketing companies asking me to go back to China to promote the country, mostly to Taiwanese people. And today, I want to talk about why they're doing this, what the emails contain, what they're offering. I'm going to have a discussion with an old friend of mine to see, are these massive campaigns from China to promote the country actually working across the world and here in Taiwan? Okay, so let's just take a quick look at some of these emails that I get, and please do pardon the mess. I've spent the better part of this week tearing this computer apart to try and solve an issue. So just in case you're curious how this works, I have a publicly available email that companies, marketing agencies, governments, whatever, they can use that to get in contact with me and offer me sponsorships. As you can imagine, my email inbox is pretty empty. Most of the emails I get are generated by AI and are scams. But what I wanted to show you today are the countless emails I get from China asking me to go back to the country I basically escaped from in order to promote China to the rest of the world, to my audience, to you. Let's look at a couple like this one. Impressed by your work, China travel collaboration. It says, hello, I hope this email finds you well. My name is Yara. I'm an influencer operator at Arctic Tern Media. I'm reaching out today because I've been a long time admirer of your work. Your videos, especially your travel vlogs, have left a deep impression on me. Which is hilarious because they've also just not even bothered BCCing the email to me. They've just sent this to like, I don't know, 20 other YouTubers, more, 50 maybe? And all their emails are listed here. Instead of like copying and pasting one email and sending it individually to a lot of other creators, which is what most companies do, they're usually AI driven, they've just sent one email to a bunch of different people. So the first entire paragraph where they're talking about how my travels are truly outstanding and I have a distinctive creative voice and a unique perspective that they're interested in is complete nonsense. I found that hilarious. So already immediately, as soon as I got this email, I was like, not real, not even gonna open it. But let's just see what they're offering. It says they're a Chinese media company dedicated to showcasing authentic travel experiences to a global audience. Doubt. And we believe your creative vision. As you can see, my videos are top quality. Can't even keep my lighting fixtures up in place, but you know, at least I've got unique stories from my travels and that are truly outstanding. Honestly, I lived in China for 4 years and I've seen pretty much every side of China. I've seen the rich parts of China, I've seen the advanced part of China, I've seen the ridiculously poor parts of China as well. I've seen good and bad. And I made videos back then and I tried to focus on the reality of the country. And I don't really think if I went there today, it would be genuine. I have a funny feeling I would have sort of a handler or someone to guide me along to show me what to film, because they don't want you to just be able to film whatever you want and say whatever you want, which is fine. And this is where it gets difficult, because where do you draw the line between tourism and propaganda? Because, you know, not being able to say whatever you want is true for any brand collaboration or sponsored video. Like, for example, a bakery hired me to make a video for them up in Taipei, and I took that gig because I thought their bakery was genuinely really good, and so do many people in Taipei. But they're not going to allow me to say that, you know, one of the desserts that I tried wasn't very good. Obviously, they're paying me. The sad part is that 2 other creators actually responded to this. I guess they didn't really do their due diligence, or they just respond to any brand collaboration because, you know, as YouTubers, that's basically how we stay afloat. A lot of people ask, how do you make money? How do you maintain your lifestyle? Because we don't get paid a salary, and ad revenue is not really that much here in Taiwan, at least. So the best way we make money is through this, brand collaborations. And these companies offer to pay all of your accommodation and a fee on top of that. And the sad truth is that a lot of creators take these deals. They go to China, they film a really cool cityscape, a skyline with neon lights, or a beautiful nature scenery, or the delicious food that they have there. And the idea is to sell Taiwanese people on the idea of being Chinese. And look how nice it is. Look at the money that's being made here, apparently. They're trying to speak to Taiwanese people and recognize some of the issues here, like rising costs of living, the constant threat of war, which all can be avoided because just look at our country, look at China, look how nice it is here. And on some people, it's working. I've had a lot of Taiwanese people that tell me they want to go see China now. They want to go to places that sound kind of crazy, like Xinjiang province, where a lot of human rights abuses have been taking place. But Taiwanese people sometimes, I guess, are a little bit blind to that. Taiwanese people love to travel abroad, and China's really taking advantage of it with these campaigns, hiring lots of influencers to go and experience their country and sell it to the rest of the world, and especially to Taiwan. Because at the end of the day, if they can just wait for Taiwanese people to slowly change their minds and come around to the idea of becoming Chinese, then they don't have to invade. It's way easier. But I do have to say, everyone's different, and these propaganda campaigns don't work on everyone.
I've spoken to Gloria about this before, and it's clear that that propaganda does not work on her. So you consider yourself Taiwanese?
And to find out more, I called an old friend of mine who's kept his eye on the Chinese situation for a long time now, and I was very curious to see what he has to say. My first question is one I get all the time. What do you think the chances of something bad happening if one of us took these deals, or if one of us went back to China? Because people always ask me if I'm gonna go back, and then I say no, and they're like, well, what do you think's gonna happen? Or what do you think the chances are that something would happen?
It would be very foolish for either of us to take one of those deals. That would be like suicide, really. You can say that on YouTube. But number one, I don't think we can get a visa to be able to get back in, given our criticism of the Chinese government. I know I'm a lot more harsh than you are, but I mean, you've dabbled, I've seen your videos. If for some reason they did approve our visas, and like we went there, we probably just get murdered.
Yeah, we just get disappeared, dude. Like, what do you think China is trying to achieve with these sort of things, these sort of emails, these sort of deals, these sort of offers that they're bringing to influencers? Because and by the way, they're especially coming to Taiwan.
It's pretty interesting to see what they've done, because I've morphed my opinion over the years on this, just based on like the evidence has come out. So I've been tracking this for a few years now. I see emails like inviting me to go on, I don't know, like a Hainan beach tour, or to promote a dinosaur bone museum in Sichuan, right? Like just random stuff like that. And I always thought it was innocuous until more and more think tanks and other groups and stuff started uncovering the fact that this is most likely part of something called 讲好中国故事, Tell China's Story Well. And what that is a multi-billion-dollar campaign by the Chinese government to promote its outward image abroad, in a way to not only attract tourism, but most importantly to attract investments. As you know, most people know, China is a manufacturing economy. They need people to invest in their country. Without Western investment, China wouldn't be anything today, and it would continue not to be anything. So in order to continue this kind of really narrow-minded economic situation that they've set up, they need people to set up companies there. They need people to bring their IP, bring their products, bring their technological prowess, and bring all that stuff to China so that they can either copy it, or they can co-opt it, or they can get money to propel the economy forward. So there's a couple of reasons there. Number three, this whole prerogative is from the current administration in China. The Xi Jinping administration wants to overtake the U.S. as a global dominant power. This is something that maybe has been in China's playbook since day one, but they've always said it wasn't the case. Before, it was kind of like, you know, we're going to kind of hide in the background and do whatever we need to do to not survive, but to flourish. And now it's like, no, we're actually going to not first take over the sphere of influence in Asia, and then after that, we're going to be the global dominant power. And you can see that with the Belt and Road Initiative and all these debt trap projects that China promotes around the world. So part of this effort is this multi-billion-dollar campaign, like I said, to promote China's image abroad, to make sure that Americans and Canadians and people in Europe and even people in Africa and Southeast Asia and stuff see China as a utopian alternative to whatever decaying system they are living in. Part of this campaign is not only to promote these beautiful tourist locations and pay these influencers to go there and make China look good, but at the same time, they also use operatives to promote negative propaganda in these Western countries. So China, as part of this campaign, China promotes division, political division, whether it's divisive topics like pro-LGBT or anti-LGBT. They'll use bot networks, accounts, diplomatic accounts, pay huge influencers or influence them to promote divisionary material.
Is it working in the West, in your opinion?
Well, to piggyback off your last question about like where do you draw the line between tourism and propaganda, tourism is propaganda now. I'll make the claim, if you see a big influencer that was flown out to a Chinese city to go to tourism, that was part of the propaganda department. That's not like some hotel decided to pay to put you up because you might say good things about it. This is an arm of the propaganda, which is part of the tourism department, right? They're using that as a vehicle to do propaganda. So I just want to make that clear. Do I think that everyone that does one of those trips is evil? No. Do I think it's kind of naive as an American or a Western person to like go and basically work for the propaganda department of an adversarial nation? I think that's bad. But you could always claim ignorance. But if you get a guy that looks like you, Prozzy, to go kind of change your mind and have this epiphany about how amazing China is because you got some email and a check in the mail, then it's a lot more believable than their ridiculous efforts to try to make you believe that China is good from an office in Beijing. So you see hundreds now of these, not only travel YouTubers or influencers or TikTokers or whatever, but you'll see people actually just basing their entire channel, pretending to be geopolitics experts or whatever. I've talked to people that ask me about certain YouTubers or certain accounts and say, hey, what do you think about this guy? I think he makes some really good points. And I'm like, whoa, that's literally, without saying too much, literally a person that's working directly with the CCP's propaganda department, right? And they're convincing people that are not dumb. I think they're kind of really preparing the populace there to be more apathetic to the situation, so that when the time finally comes where they do invade, they don't have as much pushback or as much problem. As many problems, maybe they don't even have to have a hard entrance into, like a military entrance into Taiwan, if they've gotten the populace so apathetic that they have to be ready to become Chinese, that they're kind of okay with it.
I suppose on a positive note towards China, do you ever miss it? Do you ever miss living there at all?
Every day. I mean, it's part of my life. It's who I am. And I learned the language, and I married a Chinese woman. Half of my friends are Chinese. A lot of who and what I am today is because of my experience in China. That being said, like, I can miss a lot of those elements, but things change, right? Things like became very, very grim in China, and I watched it go from a very promising place where it's like, yo, is this gonna be the next kind of Asian power that blows up and also opens up and kind of faces the world and says, we want to be part of this system? I felt like I wanted to be part of that when that was happening. Or does this country go, yo, we already made it, like, this is good enough, we're gonna lose power. We're gonna lose power over the people if we continue to liberalize. And unfortunately, that's the way it went. Unfortunately, the playbook was always there. The CCP has always had the same kind of doctrine and way that it goes about its future, but it got so much worse under the current administration. It's just not, I'm not happy at where things went. I can't believe the amount of human rights abuses that have just exploded over the years. You go from kind of not being apathetic about that kind of stuff, but you like ignore it to try to survive in China. It's like you don't talk about that kind of stuff. You don't talk about what happened to the Uyghurs and stuff. You don't talk about, you don't talk about Taiwan. You don't talk about the democracy movement in Hong Kong. You don't, even if you support all those things, you don't talk about it. And then over time, that just wears on you. It really, really gets to you, and you're like, I have to talk about this stuff. This is just being right and wrong, and this is wrong. What China's doing is very wrong. But the short answer, yes, of course I miss so many elements. I miss out. The biggest thing I miss about China is what an adventure it is. It's so big. It's so, like you can have all the YouTube videos or TikToks you want, but these guys are not going to those places that you and I went to. These places that me, you, and Winston saw, we went and talked to people that will never, ever talk to people like us again. They're not supposed to be on camera. Their village isn't supposed to be on YouTube, right? But we went to these real places and had real connections with real people. And that's what's so disappointing, is that the media coming out of China now is not authentic at all.
What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Where do you draw the line between tourism and propaganda. Do you think that these campaigns are working in your country? Do you think that they're done in earnest? Do you think that China has genuinely improved enough to where we can forgive some of the human rights abuses that have been taking place there and China really isn't all that bad? Or do you see it more as an evil attempt to increase China's image globally, and so people can slowly come around to the idea of becoming Chinese, or the idea that China isn't all that bad? Let me know in the comments. We'll make it a discussion. I would really appreciate it if you guys would subscribe. I would love to make it to 200,000 subscribers. The more subscribers I have, the more I'm able to make videos about Taiwan, not just political, but all kinds of different videos. So I would really appreciate that. You can follow me on Instagram at prosy_SR. I hope you guys enjoy your week. Stay positive, keep your stick on the ice. I'll catch you for another video.